All right, so before we get into the podcast, we are going to talk about Tripod Month. Tripod Month is the month of March. It's a hashtag TRYPOD, and it's basically a month where you try to recommend the podcast that you're listening to other people to kind of get everyone into podcasting, maybe expose people to new shows, that sort of thing. Last week, Fish and I both recommended shows. So just a little addendum to last week, I recommended the Nerdist podcast that immediately changed its name. So it's no longer the Nerdist podcast, it's the ID10T podcast. Just in case you were interested in checking out and had trouble finding Nerdist. So check that out. And so I think I went first last time. So Fish, why don't you make a recommendation?
Okay. I'm going to go with... Shit, what was I going to go with? I lost it.
I don't know. You weren't going to tell me. I don't think you really had one.
I did. I had one. Oh, I'm going to go with 6 Feet Under.
I haven't even heard of that.
It is a actual play podcast. They play role-playing games.
Okay.
But the one thing they don't play is D&D.
So they basically play everything else.
They've been playing... Their first really long-running game was called 13th Age. It's basically like D&D 3.5 with a couple of the numbers filed off. It's fun. It's also very long and very involved.
Yeah.
They've also played a lot of kind of shorter, like 1 or 2 episode little side games where they will bring in like guest stars and game designers to play the game that they've come up with. Mm-hmm. Like Laser Feelings, Goblin Quest.
Laser Feelings?
Laser Feelings is
I feel like that's a sci-fi love story.
No, but it's literally in the game you have 2 stats.
Okay.
You have lasers
and feelings. Okay.
And that's it. You make all your rolls based off one of those.
Okay.
It is a very easy game to learn, and it is a lot of fun because it's just random sci-fi crap.
Okay.
They've played Goblin Quest. And right now, their main campaign is the Mouse Guard RPG, which has been a lot of fun to listen to.
That sounds cool. Yeah.
It is a lot of fun, and
nice.
They've been doing this for years. They are probably some of the better role players I've ever seen, and I've never not enjoyed listening to an episode.
Nice.
So I'm going to recommend 6 Feet Under.
6 Feet Under?
Yep, Feats.
Okay.
Because,
spelling
RPG nerds.
Yes. So that sounds like an interesting one I may have to check out because I have not heard of that one. I am going to go into the McElroy camp. And for those new to podcasts may not know what a McElroy is, but they're 3 brothers that have between them like a million different podcasts. And my personal favorite is Justin McElroy and his wife Sydney. They have a podcast called Sawbones. And Sydney McElroy is a physician, and Justin McElroy is kind of a meathead. And I'm sure he plays up the meathead end of it. I'm sure he's not that stupid. But they will pick a medical topic, say back pain, and they will go back to the dawn of time and discuss the history of what humans have done to treat back pain. And so Sydney will explain to Justin what the treatments have been through history. And, in the very early dawn of man, it's usually, you have to slaughter a goat under the light of a full moon and bury parts of it under a sapling or something bizarre. And they'll follow it all the way up to the modern day and talk about what we currently do. It's really informative. It's really puts things in, like the world into perspective of how much we know and how recently we know most of the things we know, because it's not that long ago that we didn't know a lot of shit. So Sawbones, it's really great. It is family-friendly mostly, but you will hear... It's a medical show, so there'll be terms like anal infection that will just randomly go off at your desk while you're sitting there listening to it.
Yeah,
and the person next cubicle will look at you funny.
It's not an obscene show. It's just some of the subject matter gets a little... impolite?
Graphic.
Yeah, it's graphic.
Some of it's graphic.
Because they're not pulling any punches when they're talking about using salt to deal with your anal infection.
Right. And a lot of them you can kind of steer around where it's like, oh, herpes, I'm going to skip the herpes one while I'm at work, but some of them will sneak up on you.
Salt.
Sometimes herpes will sneak up on you, Fish.
You would know better than I would, Andy.
So, Sawbones, I really recommend it. There's a huge backlog that you can check out. You can find it pretty much anywhere podcasts are podcasting. And remember, check out the hashtag tripod, TRYPOD, for more recommendations. All right, welcome back, Inebri-ites. This is Andy, the Inebri-art podcast, and I'm here today with two guests. John, oh, God. I was going to say, God damn it, I wasn't going to mess it up this time. I'm like, I know that last name.
Morelli.
John Morelli, but, that's what I do. And Hollis. Everyone around town knows Hollis. But, John, you are the entertainment director for the British Beer Company.
That's right.
Which has, 500,000 locations around. What is it, like?
We have 13 locations from the Cape, South Shore, and then we have two, North Shore. We have one in North Shore, and then we have two in New Hampshire.
And so did you work for them before, or were you a musician that kind of got into that position?
Way back when I was a musician, but I've been with the British Beer Company from the very beginnings. I've been with them for 18 years, ever since we started doing live music.
And so now as part of that, on Monday nights at the original BBC.
That's the first one.
The very first one. We actually had a couple of long-time local bartenders, both BBC vets on the Bar Talk podcast recently. But upstairs, which I think a lot of people don't even realize there is an upstairs
there
to
is.
the BBC. Yeah, there's like a sketchy-looking spiral staircase in the back that you're welcome to go up, but everyone just kind of looks up.
But do you come back?
Yeah. But you guys have the Acoustic Lounge every Monday night. So what is an Acoustic Lounge?
Hollis.
Well, the Acoustic Lounge began a year or so back, originally, as an open format, invite-only performance thing. Basically, it's a glorified open mic.
Okay.
And what it's morphed into now is that we're actually a venue.
Yeah.
So on Monday nights, when nobody's putting on much of anything in downtown Plymouth, we're actually pulling bands down from Boston, local bands and Cape bands, performing some pretty big household names in the region. And we've been doing that since October when we relaunched. And it's been going amazingly well. So
now you said it's an invitation open mic?
That was the original format. Yeah. The original Acoustic Lounge was based on the Acoustic Lounge that I did in England 10 years ago, almost to the day that we relaunched it, living over here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And that was an invitation sort of thing.
Yeah. I like how open mics allow people who don't have an opportunity to play.
Exactly.
But in the same aspect, sometimes there's people who shouldn't always be playing.
Exactly.
And you're right.
And that's what makes the Acoustic Lounge so much different than a typical open
mic. And the caveat to the whole thing was, it's got to be original music.
Oh, okay, so it's no covers.
No covers. So
so
out of the gate, that just changed everything. So you'd have people who would show up who work or perform at the BBC chain, who are household names around our area, that were like, I actually can come down to where I play on a Tuesday or a Thursday night and play my own stuff. It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
and the audience responded.
And that's a huge thing, because most time most times I feel like bar audiences aren't necessarily audiences; they're just people at the bar while you're playing, and they don't necessarily want to hear a response. They want something they can sing along to,
and you're completely right. And the thing that separates what you experience when you come down, this is about the Acoustic Lounge I'm talking on a Monday night, is you're in a listening room. Mm-hmm. There are no TVs, there is no bar, there is no chatter, and to be honest, we have had even somebody like Hirsch Gardner, who performs at the Spire with New England.
Yeah,
he just performed recently. He did an amazing set.
Yes.
And the review that not only did we get from a member of the press, but his own personal take on where he was, he's like, this was an amazing experience. I mean, I don't get to play a place that I feel so engaged with people right there in that room and space.
Because it's not a huge room by any
stretch. No, not at all.
So it's got to be very.
It's a 50 room at the max.
Yeah, it's an intimate room. It's a listening room.
Exactly.
And you can go downstairs and you can talk to your friends and your buddies or whatever. Yep. But the people are now coming specifically to Monday night. Acoustic Lounge upstairs, right? And then we even are putting lights upstairs, so it's not frightening for anyone.
It's more inviting.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the other thing that we offer as well is
you don't take the couches out, do you?
No,
because those things are super comfortable.
No. There's too much DNA. You couldn't be able to lift.
Oh, see, now I don't even want to sit on those.
No, but it's seriously, Andy. So it's like the actual feel of the space when it's all dressed. And the lights go down, and we actually have a stage, proper sound. The people who are performing had Young Frontier, who you may or may not know. They're a Boston band. They're actually sort of like almost like ready to break a national level. They couldn't stop going on about how amazing it was to be in this space, because when you perform in places that are either larger. It's vacuous. Mm-hmm. You get lost.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You place places that are really, really small. The sound is too loud for the space. It's just a Goldilocks sort of like thought process. Everything's just right.
So now, when you bring these people in, like I've been to open mics and they play like one or two songs. When you bring someone in, do they play the whole night? Do they play half a night?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that, again, the Acoustic Lounge isn't an open mic.
Yeah.
The Acoustic Lounge is a legitimate venue. So you have your headliner, you have a couple of openers. So basically, doors are 7. Showtime starts at 8 o'clock. Between 7 and 8, we offer free food, which is basically BBC pizza. Mm-hmm. We bring it in for both guests, audience members, and the band. So we're all eating, we're all munching. Everybody gets to meet each other and talk to each other and everything. It's a nice community. It's a nice environment.
Yeah,
especially if you don't go out to much live music. It's a cool thing to actually be in a place that feels like you could be in Greenwich Village. Mm-hmm. And you just bumping into the person that, hey, I got to go play now. And they get up there and they blow it away. So normally it's like between 8, 10, 10:30, 3, maybe 4 acts plus, 45 to hour sets. It's just phenomenal. So anyway, we shifted, because of the popularity of this, we really missed, or I definitely missed, having a genuine open mic format.
Yeah.
Because it always became that, people who visited the Acoustic Lounge in its previous incarnation a year ago at the BBC, it was a blast, but obviously the fact is you couldn't play covers.
Yeah.
So when we brought in what is now the BBC Open Mic, which is on Wednesday nights, every Wednesday,
at the same location.
At the exact same location. Exact same location. It's like I get to play in a place that you're not just shoved into a corner and you feel like you're at a Walmart with lighting and glasses and people ignoring you at TV screens. So it's almost like what is it, sort of like in baseball where you have the sort of like you're ready to come up and you're a batter. What is it?
Baseball person?
Baseball?
For what? Sorry, multitasking.
What's that?
You mean like the batter's box?
The on-deck circle?
Yeah, the on-deck circle.
Okay.
So basically, my analogy...
We love sports.
I can tell I'm with the right crowd. Yeah. No, but for real, it's like what ended up happening is that people would come down, and they were like, well, how... If I'm local, and I am writing original music, but I still need to bulk out, my set with covers and things like that. How am I going to play the Acoustic Lounge, which is sort of like promoting and pushing original music? And I'm like, well, we need to have another format, and that's the open mic.
So on either of these events, is there a cover?
No.
Or
No.
It's just free to anybody?
Free to anybody.
And so say, my band, Andy and the lack of better names.
That's actually a really good name.
Andy
and the lack of the better names.
And
it's pretty good.
if we were playing, could we put out, are there CDs for sale? If they're there, are they able to sell their stuff?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
See, one thing I think is important is that, we use the term loosely, like band or whatever. I think it's better to say acts or whatever because they're not...
It's true.
They're more
true.
like, you know what I mean? It's and remember, there's
or musicians.
They're
musicians.
Musicians, and it could be one, or it could be two or three, or it could be four, whatever. We don't have a lot of room up there, but it's called the Acoustic Lounge. But of course, there is people plug in a little bit. It's not loud. It's not we have to make sure that things are still. It's a listening room, so therefore you don't want to
you don't want to blow people.
You don't want to blow people's hair off, right?
And it's not meant to do that. I mean, when the night when Hirsch Gardner from the band New England. When did they have their album out? Was it in the late 70s or the early 80s?
It was, it was the same time as, we're talking like Styx and people like that. Yeah.
And, but he got up there and played a version of Whiter Shade of Pale by Procol Harum that it was
amazing.
Just unbelievable. The guy, and then, so you have someone like him, and you have local people, and then you have people coming from Boston, and what they're, and I've got to, give it all to Hollis because he's actually doing the sound, and he's doing an amazing job, and because this is like a labor of love for both of us, I think.
Absolutely right. Yeah, and again, that's the other side of the coin. Is it's like I mean, I obviously I'm a writer and musician myself and blah 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 blah. Well, the thing is, it's like I've actually put that to one side right now. It's like I love this town. I love what you do. I love what we're all trying to do. But the one thing is like if you're coming at it from a top-down approach as being, well, I'm going to be able to provide this thing, but still be able to eke out sort of like this piece for myself, it had to stop. Yeah. So I basically retired the band, and I'm focused on artist development in our town.
I 100% know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
When we started off in Inebri-art, it was literally 5 of us hanging out at a Fridays over in Colony Place, drawing at the bar because one of our buddies tended bar. That's how this started. Wow. And then it kind of became like, hey, maybe we can get in on those paint night things. And we tried that for a while, and then kind of like when we stopped being like, let's stop making this about trying to make a buck, is when it took off.
That's right.
And people started coming to us and being like, you want to do this? You want to do that?
Yeah.
And it's to the point now where I'm like, I can't remember the last time I created an original piece because I just don't have any time.
But look at what you have created.
Yeah. And I shouldn't say that because we create content all the time.
Right now.
It's just a totally different format, you know?
The page is so big because if you think about it in the broadest sense of terms, you have all of these great places that you can perform. But there has to be a momentum behind it, and also the reason to be there.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I focus on, I mean, it sounds crazy, but Johnny's over at HQ, at the BBC HQ and stuff, and I'll show up at 4:00 in the afternoon, and I'm setting up the wires, and I'm getting all OCD and making it perfect because when these people walk in. First off, especially from Boston, like when Hirsch came down, Hirsch had seen the videos, so obviously we give out content.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm happy to do that. I think that if you are dedicated to drive down from Boston with all of your gear and everything, and you're just going to get a slice of pizza and some drinks and maybe a bit of gas money and everything, I want to give these people something that actually gets them more gigs. Yeah, and that is a part of the process. Is to provide them with free content that they could use online. So we make the videos. Yeah. And, of course, the problem with 99% of videos that you see in any venue is that it's by somebody dancing, telling their friends, this is awesome, and their phone is shaking the whole time. Yeah. So the sound is in such a way, in a certain frequency band, that I can film. Yeah. I know, you see what I'm getting at? The whole thing. Job. So basically, this band knows when they're hitting it, and it sounds right to them, I'm getting it, and then I'm like, well, there's your video. Bang, they're getting more gigs. And most of the bands that have come down and...
Now, do you make that video available for them to use as well?
Oh, yeah,
you send them the file?
Free charge. Yeah. I mean, they do whatever they want with it, because it's just... I feel it is like... They are doing me the biggest favor in the world, because they know my commitment to trying to, again, it comes back to what we both talk about. It's like, I want to see Plymouth stand on its own, as far as being not just a destination that has the historical monuments and things, but a place to where, you know, a Monday night could feel like a Friday night. Right. You can go out and you're guaranteed to see something awesome.
Well, the music and the art scene around here is just exploding.
It's exactly. Yeah. It's exploding, and the thing is, it's also down to what you do. It's content, and it's quality content and consistent content.
We don't do quality content around here.
Well, I'm very sorry.
Okay, we're leaving.
Well, that's not how we work.
I think you're actually trying your best. But what I mean is, it's like for myself and John, you know, we're really, really looking after these people when they visit. But at the same time, ultimately, when we have our local artists who are like hanging out on the Monday night and everything, they're getting inspired. They're going, you know, I live in this town. I could be on it. And then what ends up happening is that other management for other venues are coming down and seeing them. They see the video and they're getting more gigs.
Yeah. And it's this weird, like...
symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, and it's like this weird snowball effect.
Absolutely right.
Where it's like... Yeah. You know, we run our life drawing. We get in a dozen people. Yeah. You know, they tell one or two of their friends. The person's like, "Oh, I haven't drawn in a while." Next thing you know, they're hanging on our art show because they got back into drawing and painting and whatnot.
Absolutely right.
So you guys have 13, and by you guys I mean the British Beer Company. You have 13 venues. Are there plans or thoughts about expanding the Acoustic Lounge to any of these other venues? Or?
Well, you know, it could in some way, but I mean, it's sort of. I think what
it's such a unique spot over there,
and it really has to do.
It is unique.
Not all of the BBCs have like a separate room like this.
They don't all serve Cheetos either. You know? I mean, that's right there. That's
right,
exactly.
And that's whoa.
Yeah. We've had a lot of complaints up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire about I came in here for Cheetos,
but you gave me a steak. Yeah. I'm like, what's the deal?
Yeah, but I think it's important to make the distinction that what we're doing with the Acoustic Lounge is very like the BBC still is doing a great job having great entertainment at all the different venues.
Yep.
But it's there to entertain the bar crowd, you know what I mean, and you know, playing the local, you know, the hits,
playing the covers
and all that. This is to get there could be that musician that just has no idea how to get out there, is afraid to get out there, you know.
Yeah.
Very good. Yep,
and that's where the open mic part of what we do on Wednesdays comes in, because we could find some amazing talent at that open mic.
So is that open mic kind of like a scouting
audition?
It's
to get back to my favorite.
It's the batter's deck.
Yeah.
And it's already worked.
He's not even listening.
But it's already worked because we've got this kid who I've known for ages.
Yeah.
He works. He actually works local. Tommy Reedy. I made a couple of videos of him.
Oh, yeah.
What a voice. Mm-hmm. I mean, the thing is, it's like you take it for granted that, you know, hey, we can walk into any one of these number of bars and everything, and we can hear a different rendition of Mark Rudyville. This guy comes in, he's like a tour de force, and he's like just blasting out his voice, playing this like beat up little 1960s Fender Parlor guitar.
I think I'd call it punk acoustic.
It's punk acoustic.
Oh, really?
But it really is. It's really something special. And he lives in our town. And the thing is, I can get behind that because he's writing his own music.
Yeah.
He's singing with complete sincerity. And when he's done, he's working. He's going back. He's going back to be a fry cook. Yeah. It's like
so he's like, oh, my set's done. I gotta go make some wings.
I'm trying to make a mythology about this.
Yeah.
Sort of like how Bruce Springsteen, like when he's done playing his gigs at Madison Square Garden, he's basically working on a car for somebody to make some extra money because he's that kind of guy. But seriously, it's like we've got these people who are living around us, and the same with like the Inebri-art thing, with getting people to kind of like just come out of their shells, meet other artists, meet more like-minded people. It's kind of cool. The idea that we have a space, again, most people are ADD. I'm ADD as hell, okay? Yeah. And
I'm more than you.
You're way more than me. But the thing is, if I'm in a bar, and then like the Celtics are playing, I'm just like, what? And it's like I'm with Angel,
right?
And we're like in the middle of a conversation. What? It's just like boom. I'm on. So it's almost like you're forced to go ahead and actually watch this thing.
Yeah.
And people get into it, and it's really awesome.
Oh, and one thing I think is really that I've noticed, and I'm sure you have, is that, let's say, even though the Acoustic Lounge is not an open mic per se or whatever, but when there are people playing in something similar in a bar, the atmosphere isn't there. There's bright lights or there's no lights.
Yes.
And the sound is usually...
So it's almost like, I know there's playing music, but where the hell is it coming from?
Right.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
And there's usually the sound quality is not good at all.
Yeah.
So that even when the musician gets up there, they just kind of leave going, oh, I suck.
You know what?
When they play...
It's called wallpaper.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, obviously. It's like you could go into a Bertucci's and you're sitting there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say a name. No, but you can go to any restaurant.
You can say names. I don't have
Okay.
Like, we don't have any kind of like...
But just saying, but you can go in and you're just like, I just want to eat my veal parmesan. I just want to eat it. And you just got something in the car. You don't exactly know what it is. And you look over and you go, oh, it's some dude like playing Beach Boys. So it's like... It's a destination, and that destination inspires other musicians to say, "I want to be in front of people that actually pay attention."
Yeah,
and it's working. It's a really cool, it's like not a concept. It's kind of how it should be. Listening rooms are the future.
Yeah,
people who really want to sit and listen.
Now, something that we are experiencing now, being 4.5 years into our life drawing, is kind of this family vibe where, like, people who didn't know each other and come to life drawing all the time, oh, it's so-and-so's birthday. We should bring in a cake for her.
That's cool.
And so it's so open, and people who didn't know each other are now friends, and it's this incredible thing. Like, have you guys seen that kind of start to grow out of your regulars?
Same thing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Every week, same thing. Yes. We've got it's
really incredible. There's the age difference is incredible. There's young kids come in, the 22-year-old musicians, whatever, and then all of a sudden their parents are coming in or whatever. Or people.
And Angel said this to me. My Angelica said this. She said it's a very interesting thing that since October that we've been there, almost more than half of the featured artists who perform bring their parents because they feel like this is a place I can bring my folks.
Well, that's cool.
That's kind of weird.
And their folks
I love it. And their folks are just...
I never get a chance to see...
I've never seen my son or my daughter play. And they're like going, this is a wonderful environment.
Now, do you ever have the opposite where, like, people bring their kids? And like, oh, it's the first time Junior gets to see me to play. Or
sadly, it's 21 plus.
Oh, it is 21 plus.
There's nothing we could do. There's nothing we could do about that. Yeah. But at the same time...
But some people have kids that are 21.
They do. It's true. And some have them and they're like 33.
Yeah.
But what I mean is it's a 21 plus environment, which is what it is. But if you really think about it, if you're going to be at a restaurant environment and you have some fella or woman in the corner, singing their guts out, and then Junior gets a little bit too much sugar and starts running around. Oh my
God!
I'm just saying that we don't have that.
That's awesome because I took my kids to see a movie yesterday.
Right? What'd you see?
Black Panther.
Oh God! Yeah.
It's the second time I saw it.
Right.
But I forgot it's February vacation.
Yes.
I was ready to blow my brains out. Yeah. And I'm like, never again are we going during like a school vacation. And it's that, the kids next to you are like, It's not loud enough that you like really hear it, but it's loud enough to just be annoying enough. Exactly. You know,
to ruin the experience.
Yeah,
right.
and some people like, you know, they're my kids, so I can say nice things about them. Are very respectful, and you know, they're going to stay quiet, but that doesn't mean everybody's kid is going to. You know,
exactly.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, but not unfortunate that it's 21 plus. You know,
I'm just saying. But again, it's like if you kind of like think of it, and also another way, 21 plus. You know, I mean, listen, we can't all be 17 years old, Jimmy Page, and a genius, okay? But by that point,
speak for yourself. But whatever.
Exactly, right? But I'm just
you haven't even heard Andy in the.
I haven't heard Andy
and the delinquents.
Andy and the delinquents.
Yeah, I can't remember what that name I came up with.
If you're in a 21 plus environment and you have music and everything, and last night. I haven't even put up any video content from last night, apart from pictures that Sue Peterson took, which were awesome. But the thing is, it is still an open environment to where, and this isn't another very odd thing that's different. Is I've invested in some equipment, so and this is exclusively about what the open mic represents. Because
the open mic or acoustic lounge?
No, the open mic on the Wednesday. Right. This is what this is why, again, this is a little different, if not completely different. Is I bring in an 88 key keyboard. I have that set up. I bring in guitar. We have cone. Everything's mic'd up. You have 3 mics across the top of the stage, and you have a monitor. You have everything set up. And when people arrive to that without an instrument and they're a musician, 3 drinks in, they're like, I'm gonna play a song. And they kill it.
Yeah.
Or they're like, I have a harmonica in my back pocket, like this fella did the other night, and gets up and kills it. It's just like it just invites everybody to be like, like we're all gonna just make this night not like some crazy jam.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you're competent and you feel and the spirit moves you.
Yeah.
You get up and you do it.
And that's really great, and that's something that I really strive for and have found that we provide it's a very comfortable, non-judgmental.
Exactly. It's very inclusive.
Yeah, and people all the time, you're like, well, I don't really draw, but it seems like it'd be fun. And like, well, then go. Because we have everybody. We have people that draw for a living and people who have never drawn before. And everything in between.
And it stops us talking about politics.
Yeah. This is all... sometimes.
For real.
And there's been a lot of fun stuff that come out of it, and I think what you guys are doing is great. Anything that helps the arts, I should say, is a bonus. Now, if someone wanted to take part in the Acoustic Lounge, like if I wanted my band to play there, do I contact the BBC? Do I contact Hollis? What's the process?
Hollis
very, very simple.
Mainly the guy.
Yeah, it's very, very simple actually. We have a webpage, Acoustic Lounge, BBC. You can find us. There's an entry form. Send us your links. I mean, I want new bands.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, we don't really we don't put on the same bands every week. I mean, we have like this week we have Michael Donallo is going to be coming through, and this might be broadcast after he performs. But
probably this goes up in March sometime.
It'd be fine, but the thing is, we have Michael Donallo from Nashville, and then we have opening for Michael Donallo from Nashville is somebody that it's local but kind of like bigger, which is Sparrow Blue. They have an album out. They're fantastic. But my point is, it's contacting us. It's just go to the website. Say, hey, I'm interested in playing, and the thing is, if you're confident about what you're doing, and remember, this is original material.
Yeah.
If you're confident about what you're doing, and you want to play in front of an audience that actually, gives about new music, which our audience does, then submit, come and perform. Because the idea is, and I always use this quote because God bless the old colony for splashing my quote across the papers, but Plymouth is a town steeped in history, and it also is one that can make it. And the fact is that the artists and the people that live in our community really realize is that they're not stuck; they're blessed. We're all in a position to go ahead and make this place the Seattle or the Athens of the Northeast.
Right.
We don't have to be in the shadow of anything. I mean, we just all have to be in it together. It's as simple as that.
It's like we were just talking prior to recording.
Absolutely.
Just because we're not in Boston doesn't mean we're not here.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's my point. I mean, and I say that because simply put, for 20 years, I lived abroad. I was in Europe, and most of that time I spent living in England, and I live in a town called Bath. Well,
Bath is
like about that big.
It has Stonehenge, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's near Stonehenge. But you know what? Tears for Fears came from Bath. Right. A band called The Heavy, which you may
also bath towels.
Yeah, and also bath sedans.
That's right.
Don't let that inhibit you from thinking that it's like. If we keep on having an artistic brain drain of talented people thinking they need to leave our town to make it, this is 2018, not 1918.
It's like even the bands that are, historically from, say, Chicago. They're not necessarily from Chicago. That's where they played.
Exactly. And the thing is I really, really, especially, in my tenure as owning the Music Box for 5 years, is meeting these local musicians, creating a dialogue with these musicians. I feel that, especially having that experience abroad, saying to them, we have computers, we have technology, we have everything. You do not have to go ahead.
You don't have to leave your bedroom.
You don't have to leave. You don't have to leave. You can still be in a community. You can still be around your folks. Yeah. You don't have to go ahead and move to LA and, you don't have to.
Yeah. We just recorded, actually just when, this past Monday, with a musician, young kid.
Brandon.
Brandon, yeah.
Brandon's my boy.
Yeah.
He's kid.
And he's like, I have a studio in my house, but I still recorded my song in my bedroom. And it's like, you literally don't have to leave your bedroom. I mean...
No.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, it's like somebody like Brandon, who... listen, it's a shame that it's 21 plus because the kid's awesome.
He'll get to 21.
His mother's awesome. It will happen. There is proof out there. There are facts on his side. That he will have birthdays.
Yes. Yeah.
But the reality is that, again, it's like you meet a kid like this, and the idea that he is invested in the town means that he gets support from the town.
Oh, 100%.
You do it. Yeah. I do it. Everybody does it. So when he comes of age and everything, he's got the support. His material matures. He's flying the flag of arts and culture for our town.
Yeah.
He's not going ahead and saying, you know what, I need to go to Berkeley. And then off the back of that, go to New York, and then off the back of that,
be here. He also doesn't have that. Well, you should make an exception for me.
No,
not at all.
No.
Just really down to earth, and it's like, well, and I have to wait.
And the thing is where with him and his mother and everything, and
his
seriously,
mom is great.
On a personal level, the thing is they represent almost in a very strange way that accommodating, very inclusive nature that our environment over there at the lounge and on the open mic nights on Wednesdays, it actually really does revolve around that. I mean, we're high-fiving people and they were all ready for the show, and it's like, hey, it's a community. And that is a music community, and that's what we have to focus on. Yeah. I'm serious. It's important.
Yeah,
oh, sorry.
No,
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
Being the entertainment director is not always about the Acoustic Lounge.
Yes.
Say Andy and the Delinquents, I can't remember what the hell my band name is, does nothing but covers. We play Wagon Wheel 40 different ways.
That's right. Yeah.
How would we, do we contact you? Like, how's that work?
Well, for years and years, everyone would contact me.
Did call you up on the phone and just start playing?
Well, I always avoided the phone because it's you could be on the phone for an hour with someone telling you how great they are.
Yeah.
But everyone can get in touch with me through my email. Mm-hmm. However, since we now have 13 venues, we decided a couple years ago to have the individual managers, because they should have a good idea of knowing what style and what band.
Or that guy's here all the time and he's trouble.
Like a local approach.
So I still manage and make sure, I manage the whole thing, and I do have input on who plays wherever I can, but the managers, so it's partly like if people are still coming to me, but then I'll say, okay, if I think that they have what
so you're kind of the strainer.
I'm like a strainer.
Yeah. And you go, oh, well, you should talk to so-and-so here.
And because we have so many places, it's not like your typical place where, someone either, writes a check or pays cash, whoever, we have to do things 3 weeks in advance.
Yep.
I have to put it all together. I have to, it's a whole like corporate kind of a way of doing it. And then therefore the managers have to have 3 weeks before each month. They have to have everything in line, or it upsets the whole momentum of making sure that on March 1st or whatever, the first of every month, that there's 13 places that are on the website. Which. And
to make sure that everyone has,
and that's part of my job, which is the hardest part of my job now. Because when I used to do it myself, I did it up until about maybe 10 venues I did myself.
Yeah,
and at least I knew what I had to do, and if I had to come in extra hours to get it done, I had to get it done. But now I kind of have to hound everyone. But everyone's pretty good at it, pretty good at doing it. But yeah, it's it took me getting used to because I lived 20 years in Manhattan. I originally came from New York, and I was in the original that's where I think Hollis and I have
we've got
a common ground.
Yeah, we both have a very.
I go way back. I made
way.
records in New York.
Yeah.
I used to play with Cyndi Lauper way back in the 80s, things like that. And I came out of the original music, out of the. I used to play CBGBs. That's how I'm dating myself. However, but
I'm not going to ask.
This is exciting for me because I love seeing young people that are coming up with their own music.
What? That's the thing. That's what links John and I. The reason why we can get excited, and the question is really how if we expand this throughout the chain. Well, that's obviously conversation later for us, but the idea is that we're very, very focused on especially this location because the 2020 is around the corner. The emphasis and the attention, the global attention, national attention is going to be on us. And we want to have something that actually represents us, artistically.
The other thing is I have friends all over, and I talk to people all over, and I don't hear anyone talking about another town in Massachusetts like people who live in Plymouth talk about Plymouth.
No, they don't.
It's like, oh yeah, my town's stupid, and or whatever. But here it's like, oh, it's awesome. There's so much going on.
The difference, I think the difference is, and you're right. I think the difference is that, I got John, because obviously I lived abroad. John's from New York originally, and we both love this town, and we brought that. We actually had a reason to have that passion again. Mm-hmm. A combined passion.
Yeah.
And we found it in doing hosting these events. And the thing is, the byproduct of that is that it's inspiring a hell of a lot of musicians that wouldn't otherwise be inspired.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because again, it's like John's background, CBGB's the whole thing, the lineage of artists that came through. It's sort of New York, Manhattan, that whole period of time. And if you really think about that, and then if you think about the bands like when I was younger and everything, like Radiohead out of Oxford and stuff like that in London and around London when I was living there and working in industry, it's like we've both seen the industry and what music and the scope of how big things can be at the exact same time.
Right.
But we've also seen it decline.
Yeah.
At the exact same time.
Yes, yeah.
So our take on it, combined take on it, and our conversations and how I view it is that politics is local and music is regional.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if regional music is good, it becomes national, and national music's good, the whole world listens.
Yeah.
And it's a tiered process, and it starts with getting people feeling there's a reason worth doing it, apart from marketing.
Yeah.
It's like you actually are like, hey, it's if you really think about, you have the Bay Area, you have Seattle, you have New York, you have London, you have Liverpool, you have Manchester, the Smiths, you have all these different places that have a stamp. So basically, it's like we're combined together, thinking, well, we may have access, or John has access to 13 locations throughout 3 states and everything, but it's more of a philosophy than anything else. Mm-hmm. And people dig philosophy.
Yeah.
People actually dig somebody saying, you know what, there's a reason to do this, because you know what, you might actually be happy.
Right.
And this might inspire you to do it because other people are inspired. And then, hey, you know what? You might have a band and everything. And it kind of takes the edge off of tax bill.
Yeah.
It kind of takes the edge off the news.
And
you know what I'm saying? It pulls you over into what art's supposed to do.
And it's like, I have a day job. You know,
right.
I have child support. I got to pay bills, whatnot.
Exactly.
And at my day job, they're like, I can't believe you do as much as you do. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, you work all the time. I'm like, but it doesn't feel like work.
It doesn't feel.
I'm going to go hang out with a couple musicians and shoot the shit for an hour.
That's the difference. Yeah. And it's not saying that we're all going to be Andy and Hollis and John. I'm just saying that in the end,
I hope people will do better than us.
I really do.
I'm not even like blasting you guys.
I really do, because we'd all be living in New York. No, but for real, seriously, it's like if we all approach it that way, then we're all helping each other.
Yeah,
it's like we're all on this same course of producing something that's actually quality content, and it happens all the time.
Yeah,
believe it or not, I see it every day. And Plymouth's a good example of where you can see a shift very, very, very quickly with the momentum.
Yeah,
of the arts. And culture.
Sure, yeah,
and it's wonderful to see.
And so, Andy and the Irreplaceables are playing at the Acoustic Lounge.
He's already changed his name. Yeah. Who'd you kick out of your band?
Well, they gotta be in the band before I kick them out. Yeah. Fish, you're fired. So we're gonna play Acoustic Lounge, but on the open mic, I have a knife throwing act. Do you guys welcome other acts to the
as long as
open mic?
As long as it's not an AR-15, you're fine.
Oh yeah, I suppose knife throwing.
Because we might be able to run.
Yeah,
no, but
it's a good question.
I mean, like if someone wanted to read some poetry or do
listen. Last night we had. I'm not joking. Last night we had a stand-up poet.
Yeah,
killed it. Absolutely killed it. He did this free verse stuff, and the applied place was just like moved to tears.
Yeah.
Also, you don't have to have an instrument.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just want to come down to have a pint and get your, kind of get your music beer goggles on, and you feel inspired, I'm going to get up and just one song. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for that. Because that's going to get you back to playing again.
And that's the thing, is most people with open mics think, okay, well, I don't play guitar. Or, but like people who write poetry, or someone who, because we were talking about this a little bit earlier about like
that's right.
Comedy.
Comedy, exactly.
We
got reached out, again, this goes back to how you get in contact. If you get in contact via the website and you're a comedian, hell yeah. I mean, if you get up there for 25 minutes and you bring the place, onto their knees laughing, you think I'm going to say, no.
No, we can't have that.
Please,
people
more Hotel
smiling.
California. No, that's awesome, because that's what you want. You want this variety of things that every single person and every single individual that's there, that's looking to be entertained, is entertained. Because that's the point. It's entertainment.
Right.
This isn't self-gratification. And that's completely other argument for another day. But I think that sometimes we forget about that. It's like, there are people that literally go out to and pay huge money, and they see these bands perform uptown, wherever the hell, and they're like, yeah, I went to see Neil Young.
Yeah,
and I paid $1 billion to see it. Well, how was it? And they said, I don't know, and they really don't know. Because, but I got to see Neil Young.
Yeah,
it's like people who leave our place. It's like they've been to like a snake handling, like religious experience or something in the South. They're going, I've never had such a night out.
Opposed to someone who's like, oh, I paid $400 for a ticket, like way up in the boonies, for some drunk idiot to throw up in my shoe.
Exactly,
absolutely right. Yeah. So the idea is that I just answer your question now. Really quickly, is on the open mic, everyone is welcome. I mean, if you get up there and you got the spoons,
is that also 21 plus?
Yeah,
so almost everyone.
Everyone's 21.
I just like to.
It's all 21 plus. Yeah. But if you get up there with spoons and you just make it, I'll put a mic on you. It doesn't matter. And that's the other thing that I again, not to say that the open mic is the only night that matters to me, but the thing is, it is where we find people.
Yeah.
That we're like, that's fantastic. You know what? Maybe reach out to our friends at Area 22.
Yeah.
And Mallory and Bobian. And, book a recording session. Record some music.
Yeah, help their career.
You know what I'm saying? Just because
careers.
It's not just about having a career. You don't have a career unless you start something.
Right.
And that's what's happening.
And so many people are like, oh, someday.
No.
Yeah, someday.
Some days today.
Right.
But
Some
maybe
days today.
they play at the Acoustic Lounge and they just, or the open mic or whatever, and they just say, I got to get this, I got to keep going.
And it's those little steps. You play it at open mic, you play at the Acoustic Lounge.
There is
Instead of just playing in your bedroom and saying, hey, Mom, what did that sound like? How did that sound? Oh, you sound great.
You sound great, but do your laundry.
There's nothing down market about open mics.
Yeah.
I mean, open mics are where people get their starts.
Right.
People do not come fully formed Johnny Cash straight onto a stage. It's like it starts on a very small level of getting your confidence.
It's that old adage of paying your dues. You got to pay your dues.
And it's a wonderful experience.
And what's the thing that I've heard a lot of is it takes 10,000 hours of doing something to become an expert. Mm-hmm. No one's going to give you 10,000 hours of playing Fenway. You have to start somewhere.
Start somewhere.
Yeah.
We'll start in Plymouth.
There you go.
The Acoustic Lounge.
The one thing that would legitimately hold someone back would be nerves. Like, what would you guys recommend for someone who has stage fright?
The double stout.
The double stout. Which also goes back to the 21 plus thing.
And oddly enough, Andy.
Yes.
Somehow, some way, it really works.
Oh, 100%.
I had Keith Biesco, who's I think you may or may not know, one of the coolest guys in the world. He's a local videographer.
Yeah.
He does a lot of video and stuff. He's amazing. He had never played before, and this is the original incarnation a year ago of the Acoustic Lounge. And he went ahead, and that little man went ahead and gunned a few whiskeys. You would never have known it, though.
Yeah.
But his nerves were getting him. But he got up and he killed it, So there's something to be said for having a little bit of Dutch courage.
Yeah.
Okay? Because in a weird way, I'd rather see somebody have a couple of drinks in them and actually kind of like come out of their body or whatever it is, kind of like transcendental kind of thing, than somebody sitting there in a bag of nerves, completely stone cold sober and freaking out in front of everyone. At least when you've had a couple of drinks in you, and they had an open mic or something like that, and things go wrong, we're all laughing with you.
Right.
Not at you.
Right.
And that's something to remember.
And it's funny. It's something about, and there's a reason why, like, drug abuse and alcoholism is huge in the arts. There's something about their ability to kind of, I don't want to say, because people are like, oh, you free your mind. I don't think it's freeing your mind. I think it's shutting off the judgmental part.
You know what? You're right. It's the inhibition part.
Yeah.
It's completely, because you have self-doubt.
Yeah.
And again, I am not advocating getting wasted to
right.
go and perform in any way, shape, or form. I'm saying out of the gate, if you're in an environment where you feel comfortable,
mm-hmm.
and that's the most important thing. And that's why we, again, saying about how we organize the venue itself. It's dimly lit. It feels awesome. You feel like you're at a real gig. There's a stage, lighting the whole thing, the sound. You have background music going and stuff like that. You're already in a vibe to where you're already more relaxed. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you think about what most people perceive as the open mic format,
mm-hmm.
again, we're just talking about the open mic because it's so much freaking fun, to be honest. But it's normally you're in a room with like overhead lighting. You're in a corner somewhere with TV screens. You're like, you feel like you're on the moon.
There's two types of people at a regular
strange.
open mic. You have musicians who are waiting for their turn,
mm-hmm.
and people who are there not to listen.
And that's the exception.
Yeah.
That's the exception of our place. It's almost like, in fact, I can say this out loud because I've done it more than once. I said, put your guitar away. I'm not going to have you not watching.
Right.
I understand that you're, and I said, I apologize, Mr. Springsteen. I didn't mean to be so rude. I'm just saying that it's like, please, watch these people.
Right.
We're all here to watch each other.
Right.
Yeah.
We all need to pay attention because the person especially if you're one of the older crowd that's been doing this for ages, that younger person, they need your validation.
Mm-hmm.
They need to know that you're paying attention and you get what they're doing and they got your support.
And there's nothing going to be cooler for that younger person than coming off and the old I don't know what you call them, musician. Crusty musician.
Crusty fella.
The crusty fella's like, good work, you know?
And it happens all the time. But again, that comes from having an environment to where, you know, you're all inclusive. I mean, everybody kind of feels like, you know, hey, we're all in this kind of together. Mm-hmm. And again, last night, I told you, a huge night for us. I was there very, very late. 21 up to 75. The age, the actual scope of the age bracket is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And everybody enjoyed being around each other because, you know, again, it's like in our daily lives. We don't hang out. I mean, we go see my grandparents once a year, right?
Right.
You don't hang around people that have an opinion that may contradict yours, but at least they've got the experience to say, you know what, that's nonsense. I've heard that before.
Right.
I used to hang out with my grandmother, and my grandmother, we would be watching like music on TV. Remember when Madonna came on? She says, but she's no Josephine Baker.
And then you have to go like, who the hell's that?
Who the hell's Josephine Baker?
Right.
And then I look up Josephine Baker. Yeah, she wasn't.
Yeah.
She's right. So I mean, you know, it's all relative, mm-hmm. and that's where these things are important.
And hopefully, the 75-year-old guy would listen to the 20-something-year-old who goes, "Oh, you know who that reminds me of? Insert band, current trendy band name here," and hopefully the 75-year-old person would give him a listen.
Yes.
And that's right. Exactly right. Yeah.
So it's a two-way street.
It's a two-way street.
Yep.
You know, there's usually a mutual
admiration.
Yeah. So, again, where can people find information online?
You can go to, obviously, www.blah-blah-blah, the Acoustic Lounge, BBC at Weebly.com.
At Weebly?
At Weebly.com.
Okay.
Because I ain't paying for a domain. And obviously you can email us via the message there, and trust me, it's like the coolest thing in the world.
Or they could just come in.
Or they can listen. Everybody knows who the hell I am. If you want, if you know a friend or something like that, they can always message me on Facebook. Mm-hmm. They can message Johnny on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. It's like it's there is no one go-to person. It's like and if we like what you're doing, obviously this is for the Acoustic Lounge. We'll give you a slot. I mean, and you're going to sound and you're going to look awesome.
See, really, the acoustic. Just remember again, the Acoustic Lounge. Hollis basically looks and connects with people that he thinks will make a great night.
It's not an open mic; it's a mic ajar.
There you go.
Very nice.
Hey, mic ajar. Yeah. And then, when we have the open mic, so really, again, people
2 separate events.
Yeah, 2 separate events. The open mic, though. If you want to get up and play, you have to just show up.
Yeah, put your name on the list, kind of thing. Yeah,
6 to 7, exactly. 6
so
to 7,
open mic is what night?
That's on Wednesdays.
Wednesdays. Yeah. Acoustic Lounge is Mondays.
Yep.
And it's at the original BBC.
The original BBC.
Upstairs.
Yes.
What is the address?
6 Middle Street.
6 Middle Street.
6 Middle Street.
And, you know, the BBC has fantastic food, but not that one.
Not that one.
That one has no food. I'm not dissing their food.
And at the other places, it is a family experience that can be 21 under.
Oh, yeah. Because I've been to the one in Cedarville. I've been in the one. There's one in Hanover, Pembroke?
Yeah, Pembroke.
I've been there.
Right. And the coolest thing as well is again, that, you know, the more people we get downtown, the one thing that we do, obviously that, you know, a lot of people probably already know, is that if you come down for our gig, I mean, you're hungry, go next door, get the food, bring it back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can do that.
So you can import food.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you can't find food in Plymouth, something wrong with you.
You obviously aren't looking very hard.
Yeah. But I appreciate you guys coming in.
Thanks, Andy.
Pleasure.
And I keep telling you I'm meaning to check it out. I got to get there some night. My life's always hectic. But yeah, I think you guys are doing great stuff for the community, and we appreciate it. And thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right.
Cheers.
All right. Thanks for listening to our podcast. Don't forget to check out our other podcasts. There's the Bar Talk podcast. There's Old Colony Cast. And, of course, the Inebri-art podcast along with Jam Packed. You can find all those on Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, pretty much anywhere podcasts are found. If you're on some sort of service and you can't find it, let us know, and we'll help you out, and or add our podcast to that too. You can contact us at Inebri-art@yahoo.com and follow us on Facebook as well as Twitter at Inebri-art. And feel free to send us some tips, ideas, advice, hate mail, whatever it is. You can get us there. And again, thanks for listening.